Welcome to Cape Nature, Learning to Love Nature, #World Ranger Day. Thank you, audience. Thank you, presenters, for joining us for this live webinar. We hope that you will enjoy it and you will find it interesting as well as informative. My name is Clinton Bindvogel. I am the Learning and Awareness Officer for Cape Nature. But let me start by introducing our incredible panel. Our incredible panel consists of Marshall van Rooyen. He is from Bird Island, and he will be talking about what a field ranger does and what a day of a field ranger's life consists of. Marshall?
Okay, hi, thank you, Clinton. Hi all, thank you for having me. I am Marshall, like Clinton said, and I am from Lambert's Bay, Bird Island along the west coast. Thank you.
Then we also have Dr. Erin Bart. He is the Executive Director, Conservation Operations, and he will be talking about plants and animals and in general the wildlife that are being exploited, taking into account that the webinar will cover mostly law enforcement and the exploitation of plants and animals. Dr. Bart?
Hi Clinton, good evening, and thank you very much for having me, and good evening to all the viewers.
Then we also have two incredible ladies, Noloyiso Dlamini. She is from the Drift Sands Nature Reserve, and Natasha Warnick, she is from Mamre. Nolo?
Thank you, Clinton. Good evening, everybody. My name is Noloyiso Dlamini, based at Drift Sands Nature Reserve. Thank you.
Hi, Natasha.
Good evening, listeners. I am Natasha Warnick, and I am based at Mamre, and we work for the Gansekraal Conservation Area. Welcome, listeners.
Thank you and welcome, audience. We hope that you will enjoy it. But let me introduce you to where it all started. So what is World Ranger Day all about? Well, it started way back in 2007. More specifically, on the 31st of June every year, World Ranger Day is being celebrated. And the reason and the aim of this specific day is to commemorate the incredible work that field rangers are doing on the different reserves within the world, as well as to commemorate those rangers that died in the line of duty. Our rangers world over, not only here in South Africa, are doing an incredible job. And we have to commemorate and just thank them because they do such a wonderful job. I would like now to cross over to Marshall, that will be talking about specifically what a field ranger does, what the day of a field ranger's life consists of. So Marshall, my question to you is, why did you become a field ranger?
Okay, Clinton, thank you so much for that question. Yeah, and also just to clarify, you get different. You can say that you get different types of field rangers. You get your inland field rangers that will get in the mountain areas, as well as your coastal. Now, I'm from the coastal area, and to answer your question, Clinton, there's so many reasons as to why I became a field ranger. But for me, the most important one is that you actually get to make a difference, meaning that you get to protect our natural heritage, as well as the ecological integrity of the Western Cape, which is very important. And in doing so, you help to preserve our natural resources, habitats, and our biodiversity for future and current generations. And you also get a chance to make youth aware of all of this, basically. And that is by different platforms, like, for example, the National Marine Month, Junior Ranger programs, and your International Beach Cleanup Days. You also get to learn and explore new things, especially from other reserves. For example, today I went to Cederberg in between the mountains, which is something very different from the coastal side. So yeah, so that was very nice today. Thank you, Clint.
Thank you very much, Marshall. Marshall, can you tell us what is a day of a field ranger look like? How would you describe a day in the life of a field ranger?
Okay, Clinton, to answer that question, so as a field ranger, I assist with implementing what we call the ecological matrix, and that's our guideline for what is expected from us, and it goes hand in hand what we call our IWP, and that stands for Integrated Work Plan. So that's the field ranger's work plan that he needs to do. So as a field ranger, I assist with monitoring of the gannet and seal colony, especially during the breeding season. For those viewers that don't know, the Cape Gannets, that's the Bird Island's main attraction, and we can get up to 20,000. We do get some days numbers up until 20,000 gannets. So I assist there. And also I do patrols on reserve as well as off reserve. There's a couple of reasons for that. This is to look for any illegal activity as well as to collect ecological data. And that feeds into a bigger picture. But I also assist with environmental education, which is very important to us as Cape Nature. For example, we have in October what we call the Marine Month, where we invite schools from different areas to participate. And there's once again the International Beach Cleanup, which is coming up in September. So as a field ranger, it's very important when you go out to the field, whether it be in the mountain area, whether it be along the coast, you must at least have the following: that's your binoculars, your GPS, your camera, your notebook, plant and bird books, your pen, water, lunch. That must be in your backpack when doing field work. So you might be out in the field the whole day. The sun can be very hot, so that's very important. And also, just to add on, one of my responsibilities is to assist in the managing of the EPWP staff on Bird Islands. That's your expanded public works program. Yes, thank you, Clinton.
Marshall, from what I gathered now, you mentioned something to the extent of illegal activity. So I'm sure there is a lot of illegal activities. Can you mention or just explain to us and the viewers what does the law enforcement of your part involve? Because with illegal activities, I'm sure that law enforcement needs to be applied.
Yes, that's correct, Clinton. So we as field rangers carry out compliance patrols on an almost daily basis. And just in general, one of the challenges that we deal with frequently in conservation is the illegal collection and exploitation of indigenous wild plants and animals. Now, these unique plants and animals of the Western Cape unfortunately attracts biodiversity criminals. And this would include your scientists, your syndicated recruits, and as well as your professional traders. Now, these people, they target our unique plants such as the fynbos, like puhu, and animals such as your tortoises and dwarf adders. And just for interest, since 2015, Cape Nature's alliance with provincial and national prosecuting authorities has resulted in more than 600 criminal enforcement actions, which is very impressive. And so people must know that large fines can be issued for the illegal possession of protected plants and animals. And rangers such as myself also assist the Department of Environment, Fisheries and Forestry inspectors when engaging in operations by checking permits and when doing patrols. I record the data of the illegal activity, say for example the time or place, and submit that to conservation management for further action. But specifically here by us at Bird Island in particular, West Coast rock lobster poaching is very common. It is legal to harvest during certain periods of the year, obviously with restrictions on size and total allowable catch. However, any harvesting outside of the season, for example, taking undersized lobster and too many, are all illegal. So that's about it from my side.
Thank you very much, Marshall. I'm sure that the viewers have many questions. So you can let me remind you that you can relay your question or your questions, your comments in the Q&A box and the comment box. So we will be taking questions throughout the live webinar. Just one question from my side, Marshall, and that is, if you think about Bird Island, you know, what is unique about Bird Island?
You know, Clinton, what is unique about Bird Island? Like I said earlier, the Cape Canyon, that's the main attraction here. And you find them on 6 islands across the world. You will get 3 islands in South Africa and 3 islands in Namibia. But Bird Island specifically, it's the only island in the world that is accessible by the public. So the public can access it. The other 5, unfortunately, is not accessible for the public. And just for interest as well, way back then, the island used to be called Penguin Bird Island because the island was covered in penguins, but unfortunately, due to human disturbance, seal predation, and overfishing, that caused the population to thin out. And today we have no penguins. So today, the name is Bird Island, Lambert's Bay. So we do so now and then get penguins here, but 1 or 2, and we normally will catch them and see if they are fine and send them off to send off for further treatment. So yeah, and like I said earlier, we have plus minus on a good day 20,000 gannets all in total sitting in one place. So that's why it's so important for us to monitor them, especially the breeding success.
Thank you very much, Marshall, for your contribution. And listeners and viewers, let me just remind you that you can put your question. And I see there is one question in our Q&A box, and it's anonymous attendee. I want to know, and this is a question directed to you, Marshall. I want to know if any of the rangers have had a spooky experience while working in the reserve alone.
In terms of spooky, from my side, not yet, but I will say this. With this whole COVID story, I have to come in very early and I'm alone on the island. There tend to be noises sometimes. So yeah, in terms of spooky, yes, if that answers the listener's question. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just looking for if there are any more questions or comments. I don't see anything here coming in. There's just a few comments. That is from Willie van der Skyf to all panelists. Hi, Willie. Looking forward to the engagement all the way from Roodepoort, Gauteng. Welcome, Willie. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. And then also Jenny Peterson is asking, are there any photos of Bird Island? Are there any photos?
Yes, you can go on the website. It's www.capenature.co.za. You can look for Bird Island. There's a section where it says all the reserves. If you click on there will be a drop-down menu and you will be able to see Bird Island. And also, you can Google it as well, Bird Island. You'll see many photos of us there. Yeah.
Thank you. And then there's another comment. Good evening. That is from Shireen Newman. To panel and everyone joining, it's great to see you guys again. Thanks, Shireen, and welcome. There's one more question. What is the hardest part of your job, Marshall?
Well, I would say the hardest part is seeing, look, you work so hard to preserve what you work for, the ecosystems, the national heritage. You work so hard to see that being taken for granted, especially by poachers.
Yes.
And like you said, syndicates. It's very sad, and we actually not enough field rangers to be able to curb that. But we are getting there slowly but surely. Yeah. So for me, that's to see that people or poachers or individuals, they don't appreciate what nature has given us, so they completely take it for granted.
There's 2 more questions, Marshall, for you. I hope you don't mind, and thank you, audience, for giving us these questions. It is much appreciated. Let me also remind you that any additional questions, and should your questions not being answered during this webinar, that you can email them to learning@capenature.co.za. So the other questions is, what about the Chinese fishing vessel fishing along our coast? what is being done to keep our resources, I would assume, in place? Marshall?
Well, from my side, I'm going to have to get back to you with that one. So if you email that question to us, we will definitely be able to give you an answer on that. Or if any of the other panelists maybe have an answer, they can give it to you. But if not, you can mail your question and we can answer that to you. Yeah.
One more question. Are the numbers of the gannets static, going up or down, Marshall?
That's a very interesting question because it's not going up, it's not going down. So it's been stable for the last 10 years, say, for example. So that is a big question because you must remember there's 6 other colonies as well. Even though some gannet chicks do come back to the place where they were born, not all of them comes back. They can go to the other colonies as well. So at the moment, the colony is still very healthy and it's very stable at this moment.
Yeah, thank you, Marshall. Like I said, audience, if you have any additional questions, we will request that you actually, throughout the webinar, that you can pop it to us, and also you can direct it to learning@capenature.co.za. Thank you very much, Marshall. It is highly appreciated and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Now we will be crossing to Dr. Bart. He is the Executive Director, Conservation Operations, and he will talk about the plants and animals in the Western Cape that are so unique, that are being exploited through illegal trade and illegal activities. Dr. Bart, very welcome to you.
Thank you, Clinton. Thank you very much. I think let me start by answering the question around uniqueness and poaching and stealing of animals and plants in the following way. Our listeners should be familiar with the fact that we live and work in a very, very special place. This Western Cape of ours is unique, and there is no place else like this. The reason why I say that is that we have two plant kingdoms or 2 plant biomes here in the Western Cape, the fynbos biome and the succulent guru biome, that is unique in the world. There is no such other place. And as a result of the specialized animals and plants that we get here, or that grow here and that live here, they are very unique. There are no such other animals in the world. So unfortunately, this leads to a problem that we have, and we are very concerned about this, is that constantly we have people from overseas and also from within South Africa and so on, that are constantly wanting to have these plants or have these animals, put them in a cage, keep them as a pet, or plant them in their garden and so on. And I think for us that remains a very big challenge, and it's a concern. But I think to link up to what Marshall has just said is, we as Cape Nature, as the conservation agency in the Western Cape Province, we have to be alert. It is our mandate to look after the biodiversity, the plants and the animals and all the ecosystems, marine and coastal areas of the Western Cape. And I think that to a large extent sums up the fact that these biodiversity criminals, as Marshall has called them, they come here sometimes on a very organized way, and then collect these plants, collect these animals, put them in bags and suitcases, and post them. For example, the succulent plants, they post them to themselves overseas, then travel back as so-called visitors to South Africa. But in the meantime, when they get back home, they get these plants in the post, and they're able to trade in this. And this the illegal, and I think this is a kind of a fun fact for the webinar, the illegal trade in wildlife. So that's plants and animals. The illegal trade is considered at this stage around the 4th most important criminal activity in the world, following, drugs and guns and people that are trafficking and traded and so on. The illegal trade in biodiversity is considered a very, very serious problem worldwide. So I hope that I answered that question for you, Clinton.
Thank you, Dr. Bart. That's a very interesting fact to highlight that it's actually the fourth highest illegal trade commodity. Dr. Bart, I believe that you will also have prepared a presentation that's highlighting the exploitation of different kinds of species. Can you share that with the viewers?
Clinton, yes, thank you very much. Before I share the few slides that I prepared, I would like to then just by way of introduction say is that in the Western Cape Province, we do have very, very special plants and animals. And in particular, Marshall has mentioned the tortoises. And I will hopefully demonstrate to the viewers that, that we are very, very concerned about the tortoises that live in South Africa and in the Western Cape Province and so on. And as a result, we have to be very vigilant about these things. So I've prepared a few slides on the tortoises, the turtles, and the terrapins of South Africa. Those animals that we know with the big shells and so on. I'm going to share my screen with the viewers. When it comes through, I would then like to continue by saying is that for South Africa, we are actually in a very unique situation as far as these animals are concerned. We do have all three kinds of in the fancy literature they call chelonians, because it means that they are animals with a shell that encases their whole body. And but in South Africa, we are fortunate that we have all three of these kinds of animals. And as far as the turtles or the sea turtles are concerned, South Africa hosts, and here in South Africa are 5 of the 7 kinds of sea turtles in the world in our coastal waters. You will see the 5 names of the 5 species: the green, the hawksbill, the loggerhead, olive ridley, and the leatherback turtle. And the interesting thing is that it is only 2 of those species that actually use South African coasts to come in on a seasonal basis. The females come and lay their eggs, dig their holes in the beach, lay their eggs and so on. But as you can see, it's only the loggerheads and the leatherback turtles that nest on our beaches. And in particular, only in the northern KwaZulu-Natal area on the Maputoland coast. That's where they coast. All the other beaches are not suitable for them. And I think it has to do with the more tropical climate that we have up in the Maputoland area. Unfortunately, all 7 kinds of the sea turtles in the world are considered as threatened species. And that is as a result of people harvesting their eggs after they've been laid. Also the loss of nesting beaches. And then unfortunately a very serious impact on the sea turtles is the impact of trawling and also long line fishing. Trawling, for example, if the big sea trawlers come and with their purse nets and everything, these turtles unfortunately get caught in these nets and they can't escape and they drown, because I mean they are animals that breathe, that have to come up for air, and that's unfortunately how we lose a lot of the turtles. Maybe I should just quickly interrupt myself by saying is that we talk in South Africa, we talk about sea turtles, freshwater terrapins, and then land tortoises. But other places in the world, they use other means of talking about these animals. So, for example, in the United States, they talk about tortoises on land, and then the rest, the sea turtles and the freshwater terrapins, are all called turtles. So that's sort of an interchangeable terms that we use. If I can go to the next slide and quickly look at our South African freshwater terrapins, you'll see on the slide that we have 6 kinds of freshwater terrapins occurring in South Africa, and those 6 kinds are all abundant. They're not considered threatened, fortunately, at this stage. But the interesting thing is that from a taxonomic or from a scientific point of view, there are at this stage several what they call cryptic or hidden kinds of tortoises, terrapins still to be found or to be discovered within the bigger population. And this is based on DNA analysis and all kinds of fancy stuff. But we don't have time for that now. The next slide is about our tortoises. Now, I think the viewers would generally recognize our tortoises as those animals that every now and again you see walk across the road, or you find them in the veld. But once again, South Africa is a very unique place as far as tortoises is concerned. You will see from the slide that of the 45 kinds of tortoises worldwide, South Africa has 13 kinds. That's almost a third of all the tortoises worldwide. That's an absolute unique feature for South Africa. And then the Western Cape is even more unique because we have got 8 kinds of tortoises occurring here. And this is the most kind of tortoises that you will find anywhere in the world in the same area. Unfortunately, 4 of those tortoise species, the kinds of tortoises, are threatened with extinction. You will see the first one, the geometric tortoise. The photograph in the bottom right-hand corner is of the beautiful geometric tortoise of the Boland area in the southwestern Cape. That's the only place in the world where they occur. The speckled padloper, the Karoo padloper, and also the tent tortoise are considered threatened with extinction or endangered at this stage. Very briefly, I want to show you the next slide, why our tortoises are so special and so unique. They are absolutely a beautiful bunch, very close to my personal heart. And I think they are the best animals that you can even cast your eyes on. So very briefly, to go through the 8 kinds of tortoises that we have in the Western Cape province, at the top left, you will see the beautiful geometric tortoise, and next to it, the tent tortoise, which is a very close cousin to it. And then in the next row, you will see the padlopers, the common padloper, the speckled padloper, the greater padloper, and the Karoo padloper. Interestingly enough, these animals also got very, very interesting Afrikaans names. And the geometric tortoise, for example, of the Boland in Afrikaans is called the suurpootjie. And the little speckled padloper from the Namaqualand is called the klipskilpad because they live under rocks. They don't live in the open veld. They live inside, underneath rocks and everything. And then the Karoo padloper on the right-hand side is in Afrikaans called the donderweerskilpad, which has also got another connotation to it, but unfortunately I'm running out of time. So the last 2 tortoises at the bottom is the leopard tortoise and the angular tortoise. The angular tortoise, also known to many viewers as the rooipensies or the rooipen skilpad. And these are fortunately very abundant on. At the moment, as I've said, the geometric tortoise and the Karoo padloper and the speckled padloper and the tent tortoise are considered threatened. And unfortunately, because these animals are so special, they're so beautiful, many people from overseas, especially from Eastern Europe, would like to have these tortoises as pets and come and poach them and take them back and put them in a cage for the rest of their lives and so on. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. These animals are so specialized that they will die. There is no doubt, unless you can do magic with them. And that is unfortunately the big problem we have. And I'm coming back, bringing the tortoises back into the sort of the biodiversity crime arena. And the next 2 slides I would like to show the viewers is what we are very concerned about. You will see the question, what is biodiversity crime? It is basically the illegal collection of anything that lives. You'll see there's a leopard skin, there's a little crocodile, there's even baboon spiders, and of course, everybody is very familiar with the rhino horn and the elephant ivory poaching. The next slide will also show you that it's not only animals, but also certain very special plants, especially from the Karoo and from the succulent Karoo, the Knasvlakte areas in the northern parts of our province, proteas. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, big cycad trees that are being ripped out of the natural veld and being transported to private nurseries or to private homes and so on. It's just crazy. So I think with those few slides, I'd like to then end just by saying, oh yes, I've got the next slide I forgot now, this is, for example, the way that some of these poachers transport tortoises. You can imagine, I'm reading there's in the one suitcase 42 and in the other suitcase 56 animals crowded and so on. usually what happens is these tortoises then become so sick or so ill that they then eventually die as a result of stress and all kinds of parasites and so on. Anyway, Clinton, I would like to end my presentation by 2 quick messages. I really would like to impress upon our viewers that we need to watch out for our tortoises. They are really special, and many of them cross the road. Many of them are killed on our roads. So you will see on the right-hand side here in the Western Cape, we put on certain important roads, we put up road signs to warn motorists to look out for our tortoises. And then I think a final little message I would like to leave the viewers with is, do remember, if you see a tortoise in the veld or walking across the road, these tortoises are not lonely. You do not need to take them home for a nibba Mikey or something like that and so on. They are very, very happy where they are. So, Clinton, I think with that, I'd like to end my presentation saying thank you very much for the opportunity to share these few thoughts with you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bart. A very interesting and insightful and informative presentation. And viewers, I can see the questions are coming in. Dr. Bart, the viewers that are watching, what can they do to protect our valuable tortoises?
Clinton, I think for me it is important that we all learn about wildlife, generally speaking, plants and animals, to become familiar with why they are, who they are, where they live, what they need. And specifically tortoises, I think tortoises are worldwide under severe stress. There are about half of those 45 species of tortoises that are threatened with extinction worldwide. And I think learning more about tortoises, becoming aware of how they live is an important issue. And then also, of course, I think watching out or looking out for them. So, as in that one slide in Afrikaans, we say, hou my dop. So let us, watch out for our tortoises. And also, I think the last important issue is, I do believe that we need to keep our natural areas, our veld areas that are so beautiful. We need to keep them healthy. We need to keep them functioning, and to try and when we need to do development, try and put development where development can occur, and try and then put conservation where conservation needs to happen. So I think those would be a few thoughts from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Bart. Let me just check on the questions here as well. One question that is here: does Cape Nature have a botanical section that propagates specimens that can be purchased legally?
Clinton, the answer to that question is unfortunately no. Cape Nature does not have a nursery where we propagate indigenous plants, but I could certainly direct the viewer to the Kirstenbosch National Garden, as well as the Karoo National Garden in Worcester, Kirstenbosch obviously in Cape Town, who has got extensive nurseries, and where you can actually buy these indigenous plants legally, and to have them legally in your possession and plant them in your garden.
Thank you, Dr. Bart. One question is here. We see reports of huge pheromones. I'm sure in English it's called abalone poaching operations. Is there enough will from authorities to arrest and prosecute these people or illegal traders?
Clinton, for me, it is important that we realize, and that the viewers realize, that abalone poaching is really a criminal event or an intervention that is happening, and that is very, very difficult to stop in the first place. And that is why we as Cape Nature, together with our Provincial Department of Environmental Affairs, as well as the police services and the National Department of Environmental Affairs, we form what is called, let's call it sting. We organize sting operations along our coast, specifically in the hotspot areas like the Gansbaai, Betty's Bay, Houston, those areas and so on, to do specific patrols under specific circumstances and gather intelligence for us to be able to to respond and to deal with these? The answer to that question is, unfortunately, we just do not always have enough feet on the ground to stop the poachers from poaching abalone. Abalone is being decimated along our coast, and it's really very tragic to see that. I think Marshall has also mentioned it. It's very sad when we see the absolute rape of our environment in this case and so on. However, let me answer the question by saying is that we as Cape Nature, we do what we can in collaboration with our partners, and we have, I must admit, we have together with the other authorities, we have now in the last, in fact, over the last 4 months, during the lockdown period, we've actually had quite a lot of success in terms of prosecuting abalone poachers who during this time took a chance getting into the sea. Anyway, I think let me stop there by saying is that we do what we can, and we work very closely together with our other regulating authorities.
There are some comments, Dr. Bart. One of them, wow, that was so interesting. Thank you so much, Dr. Bart. And then there is also another comment that it was quite an informative and awesome presentation, Dr. Bart. And then there's one question here, the last question, and the rest of the questions you can pop to learning or email to learning@capenature.co.za. As we are going to move to the next presenters, which has got an interesting program, especially you young viewers and kids and learners. So just stay tuned. Could you please clarify whether one is required to have a permit if you have a tortoise at home?
Clinton, according to the Nature Conservation Ordinance, that is our law in the Western Cape Province. Yes, if you want to have a tortoise as a pet or in your possession, you do need permission, special authorization in the form of a permit issued by Cape Nature. And but usually what we do is we issue the permit for 3 years or 5 years, or in certain cases for the leopard tortoises that live so long they can. Sometimes the leopard tortoises actually outlive their owners. I've known of cases like that. But then in certain cases, we can also issue the permit for a lifetime, so to speak. So yes, the answer to that question is you do need a permit to have a tortoise in your possession at this stage. Correct.
Thank you, Dr. Bart. Thank you very much for all the information. I think the audience, they are just popping the questions, and we do appreciate. We will now be crossing to Natasha Warnick and Noloyiso Dlamini, who will be talking about the Junior Ranger program. So let me just welcome Natasha.
Hi, Clinton. Thank you very much.
Hi, Noloyiso. Hi, Noloyiso. Welcome, Noloyiso. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And yeah, they will be talking about the Junior Ranger program. But before we start there, let me ask you a question. Young Rangers at work, Noloyiso, I believe that there is an interesting program that you're going to share with us. So tell us, why is it important for children and youth to experience nature and get involved in environmental issues?
Thank you so much, Clinton. If I can refer to Marshall's presentation about the wonderful work that they're doing, I think it is very important for the young warriors to join us in conserving what we have as a nature. So I think that is why we have the programs called Junior Ranger Program.
Thank you, Nori. So I believe that you have a presentation prepared for us. So can you share that with the audience?
That's correct. I'm going to share it with you now. Can you all see the presentation?
Thank you. You can continue, Noliso.
Thank you so much, Clinton. As I've said, that the program is a year-long program that we cater for school learners. So the pilot project started in 2011 with the Green Park learners. It's an informal settlement that is very near to Tortoises Nature Reserve, where I'm based at. So the aim of the program is to holistically develop the young people to make the environmental sound choices and also fostering the spirit of volunteerism. Since the program has started, we have got more than 800 learners that has participated on the program and those that has also graduated on the program as a junior rangers. So who the program is targeting? So the program accommodates learners from the ages of 10 to 15 years old, mostly focusing on grade 6 and 7. It also caters for environmental clubs at schools. So if it's not only those kids from grade 6 and 7, so if there's an environmental club at school, we do accommodate them as junior rangers. So what we expect from those young eco-warriors, we expect a full participation and attendance to all the programs that we do with them. Remember, I said that the program is a year-long program, so we need full participation and be available when we need to have it. So what else do we do with them? They participate in different activities, in group activities. It's either can be at school or maybe when you go out as a group and as well as in their community as well. Because remember, those people, we need them to grow up and be the rangers of tomorrow. So the commitment is also very important and eagerness to learn as you are the part of the program. The creativity is one of the most important parts because remember, we need them to solve the environmental problems. So when they are creative, we believe that we can all together save our environment. So the other projects that they get involved, it's tree planting, during the arbor, they do the cleanup campaigns, it can be at school, maybe it can be in their community. So they also more than welcome to start to organize a cleanup campaign, then you assist them with the material and then you can join hands together and make the cleanup campaigns. So what we cover on the program, the topics that are also we cover in the program, and they are also curriculum linked. So it's a climate change, water conservation, the invasive species, rainbows, we talk about wetlands, time travel, and as well as citizen science, whereby those junior rangers will have a time in the field with our field rangers, having to see what the field rangers are doing, like collecting data, and as well as looking at the different plants and hiking in the mountain as well. So they also have skills that they need to practice. So the presentation skills, the group dynamics, the problem solving skills, as well as adaptability and ethics. So if you want to join the program, so what we normally do as a staff, we conduct the school and send them the program details like the project. Then the school will identify the learners as per what is written as a requirement. And then the school nominate a coordinator that normally is a teacher responsible for the group so that we can have the go-to person when we would like to meet the group. And the decision is made by the school and the principal when we can visit the learners because we don't want to interact with them. Normally we prefer to do it after school. And the parents must also get involved so that they know if the kids are not coming early on they are at the junior ranger program. We also do have excursions that are outside their school. They come to the reserve. Some of the previous group, they even went as far as Port Beck for a camp. Those nominated by the school, they will have to sign a commitment letter that they will be in the program for the whole year. Applications are normally open between October and November for the following year so that we can prepare ourselves and know how many groups we have and then which areas are we covering. So the program, as I've said, it started a year at Tortoises and it spread to mostly all the offices or the Cape Nature regions. There's programs that are going to be started now in the George Garden Route area, your Mossel Bay Flat, Neisner. There is contact people in each and every Cape Nature office that you can contact. Like in George, we've got Mazan, our stakeholder engagement officer there. You can contact Mazan with the email address. She will be able to assist you with the group on that side. As well as the DCCP area, your Mamre, Pella, and Atlantis, Trustworth, and the Reverence. You've got the officers on that side. That is Edward Adonis. You can contact Edward, and then he will be able to assist you in forming the group of if you are interested on that side. But nevertheless, they can also drop an email to the learning at capenature.co.za, then they will be directed exactly in which area they are residing, and then to the relevant officer for them to have their group being registered as a junior ranger. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you very much, Noloyiso. Viewers, I do apologize for the sound effects. We will attend to them shortly. Natasha, thank you for joining us as well. Natasha, can you maybe answer this question? How can the junior rangers get involved in environmental matters?
Hi, Clinton, thank you very much for the question. So the learners, first of all, they can have a little exercise by going onto our website to find the closest nature reserve. Remember, we have nature reserves all over the Western Cape. So they need to go find the closest one to the community. And then they can contact the nature reserve staff that works with kids and schools. But they can also become involved by looking at the various interesting biodiversity found around them in the schoolyard or in the community or even at home. So looking at the birds, looking at plants, and then they can contact us and they can basically become involved with our junior ranger programs or even programs at school.
Thank you, Natasha. Noloyiso mentioned that the Junior Ranger program, they have many programs and that they go to schools. Can you maybe mention some of the virtual platforms or the social media platforms that can be used to extend the knowledge that we have to the schools, to the young learners, to young people out there, given that we are living in a different context currently?
Yes, Clinton, it is quite a new way of learning, and with our youngsters out there, they like the social media, so there's websites where they can go to. There is the WhatsApp groups that we basically share information, and then there's also Facebook that we use for information sharing, and webinars like we are doing today, so there's interesting webinars to go to. We also use the Google Hangouts platforms where these learners can then engage with the resources needed for them.
Thank you, Natasha. Let me just check on the Q&A box, and there are a few questions that are coming in. One question here is there a follow-up program for the junior rangers? When they leave school, or are we still working on that?
Okay, so like Noloyiso mentioned in her presentation, we usually focus on the grade 6s and 7s at school. So we usually work with the grade 6s the first year. And then of course, when they go to grade 7, we continue with the program. It also depends on the school if they want the program to continue. And we are also flexible with the program. So if it is not within the school platform, we can also look at environmental clubs, or where there's an interest in a community, where learners get together at a community hall, etc.
Thank you, Natasha. There is also one other question. Are there any nature programs for the older generation? Thank you.
Wow, yes. Yes, Clinton, of course. We look at all the ages because nature is for everybody. So we have wonderful programs with our senior groups in our communities, where we usually visit the senior clubs, where we do presentations and interesting talks, but we also take them out into the field and we do programs like bio-blitzes, where we identify plants and animals and spoor and all sorts of interesting things in the veld. So definitely there is programs for everybody.
Thank you, Natasha. There is another question. Before Cape Nature came into being, the Department of Forestry, who managed the land, had an honorary foresters who helped in the reserves. Any prospect of this being introduced? I think this person is referring to the honorary ranger programs.
Yes, definitely, Clinton. We basically started to look into this program again. So especially in this area where we work, in the West Coast area, the Mamre, Atlantis, Eiserfontein, that area. So there's an interest for people to become involved, to do volunteer work on our nature reserves. For example, doing hiking trails and maintenance on hiking trails, like counting birds, etc. So definitely, so if people are interested, they can contact us and we can provide more information.
One more question, Natasha. Is there a program for children above the age of 15?
Above 15, definitely. Remember, it's for all ages, the programs we do. We are the stakeholder engagement section of Cape Nature, so we deal with everybody in our community. So yes, we are flexible, like I said, and we focus on our calendar days throughout the year, so we can look into programs and create awareness because we need a lot of awareness out there.
Thank you, Natasha. Audience, like I said, you can, if you have any additional questions, you can also send them to learning@capenature.co.za. And let me also remind you that on the invitation that you received, you will see that it is highlighted that there is a spot prize. So stay tuned for that. Don't leave this site yet. I'm just looking at more of the comments that are coming in. Natasha, how do you join the programs for seniors?
Okay, yes, Clinton. So if there's a group that's interested, it is good or better to contact us, and then we can liaise with them, and of course we can look into what their needs are, and we'll take it from there. So the better is to basically email or contact us.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, audience, for tuning in so well. I think we are nearing the closing of our webinar session, but like I said, there is a spot prize up for grabs. So stay tuned. I do want to also go to the closing remarks from each presenter, and I just felt that, you know, we have got one Earth. We do not have a planet B, a C, or a D. We've got one planet only. And it is so heartwarming and interesting to see that so many audience members are joining in to actually assist and actually to promote the message of looking after our environment, because we only have this one Earth. It provides us with food, shelter, everything that we will ever need. So we need to take care of this. Thank you. Now, Willem, sorry, just a technical glitch. Marshall, any closing remarks regarding if a young person, one of the youth members, if they want to become a field ranger one day, what would you say to them? How can they get involved?
Okay, Clinton, to the young, aspiring future field rangers out there, if you want to become a field ranger one day, remember that as a field ranger, you must lead by example so that others, especially the youth and the public, can see what is the difference between right and wrong. For example, when it comes to illegal activity like poaching, you can educate youth that this is wrong and that you are actually doing more damage than good. And also, know that you can make a difference. If you want to pursue a career in conservation, the sky's the limit. You do not have to stop there. Young people that are interested in my area, they can always visit the reserve. It is in walking distance of the town, so they can always come to me and talk to me, and just we can have a nice chat and what they must do and the way forward. Yeah. So Clinton, that's it from my side.
Yes, thank you, Marshall. Any last closing remarks on how the public and the audience can promote conservation?
Yeah, always be vigilant. Always be on the lookout for any illegal activity. Always let us know as well. You know where our reserves are, especially in the small towns. So it is very important to ensure that that you always, for example, you always have a permit for harvesting or fishing, as well as to ensure any size of bag limits are adhered to. So marine harvesting permits, just for the public, marine harvesting permits can be obtained through your post office. However, freshwater fishing hunting permits are issued by Cape Nature. And also know that limitations as set out by the permit will usually reflect on the permit if you want to know what is the limit that you are allowed to catch, for example. So, like I said, any suspicious activity or crime such as the illegal use of traps or snares, transport of game or plants such as your proteas and bufu on public roads should be reported. So we cannot do this without the public. I just want to emphasize on that. Yeah, we cannot do this without the public.
Thank you, Marshall. Natasha, any closing remarks from your side?
Yes, Clinton. So we want the community to, of course, to work together with us, because we can't do it on our own, and especially our youngsters out there. It's nice to work in conservation, guys. This is not really work. It's a passion that we love out here, but we need everybody's support. We need everybody to stand together and protect our precious earth. So please become involved with our programs, and please look after our precious earth. Thank you, Clinton.
Hello, so any closing remarks from you?
Thank you, Clinton. I will just encourage the schools and the parents to let the kids join the programs that are being out there presented to them, because we really need them to make sure that we save what we already have and what is left. I grew up in the rural areas, and then I was not presented with those kind of opportunities. I think if I can be young now, I would grab everything that is in front of me. Is helping. So I will encourage parents as well as teachers to make sure that they expose the learners to those things.
Thank you, Noli. So, Dr. Bart, any last closing remarks for conservation or aspiring young rangers?
Clinton, thank you. It's been such a fun webinar, this, and it's so great to hear people, being so passionate about conservation like we are. I think Natasha mentioned it. For us, it's not a work; it's an absolute passion that we can live out, and we are fortunate that we can do this on behalf of the people of the Western Cape. However, as was also pointed out, we cannot do this alone. We just do not have all the resources to be everywhere where we can and catch all the crooks and everything. And that's why I think it is important that our viewers also realize that we need assistance. We need the eyes and the ears on the ground. And it's not being a snitch or whatever if you report biodiversity or even environmental crime, where rivers are bulldozed or whatever and so on. It is just being a responsible citizen, like
Yes.
Marshall has also been pointing out. For me, in closing, I think it is so important that we get this message through to our younger generation, our learners in primary school and beyond. And maybe I should just say this. I have become a grandfather for the first time in May of this year. I am very proud that what I do is hopefully going to mean something for my grandson in 20 or 50 years' time when I'm not there again. And I think that that's probably, I think, what we in Cape Nature and all of our colleagues in conservation across the country and across the world is hoping to do, is to leave some legacy or to leave something behind for the next generations. And I think we can be proud of what we are doing, and but the bottom line is we do need assistance from our members of the public and our colleagues and everything. So with those few words, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bart. Thank you, audience members. Let me keep the best for last. I do want to remind you that we are going to have future webinars. That'll be the next one. Will be on the 26th of August. I will not let the bag or the cat out of the bag. I will keep that as a surprise. So please be joining us on the 26th of August. This for the next upcoming webinar. I want to thank each and every audience member that attended, each and every presenter. I also want to thank my supervisor for giving me this opportunity. I also want to thank IT and also my employer, Cape Nature, for giving us this opportunities to actually present on a platform where we can actually promote conservation, not only for the Western Cape, but for the rest of the world. So with that in mind, I said I'm gonna keep the best for last. So we have chosen number 199 on the registration list, and that is Wimpy, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your surname correct, Dornbrack. So you have won a hamper from Cape Nature. Our team will be in contact with you. And also audience members, we will be requesting you. You can fill in the feedback survey voluntarily. We will be sending it to all of you to fill in. That is to improve our game on this side, and also to improve your experience and to be better prepared in future. So thank you once again. We hope to see you in the next webinar, and let us all remember that conservation is all of our duties. It's not only conservation agencies, it's our responsibility towards our environment and to our fellow citizens. Thank you, and I hope that you have a great evening. Thank you, and goodbye.